in one flight mode, if you let go of the sticks, develop air will just like hover there in place, or the drone, yeah, kind of like the DJI drones, right? But there's also other flight modes where if you let go like the throttle stick, you're no longer actively pushing forward or up on it, then the drone will just like come down, right? You know, fall like a rock essentially. And so we had this large drone that's like $50,000-$60,000, you know, up 10, 12 feet off the ground. And then all of a sudden it just goes silent because, you know, I let go of the stick and we're in a different flight mode than what it was supposed to be in. And yeah, you never want to hear that sort of silence, you know, like just all of a sudden, and you know, it's like everyone get ready to scatter, you know. But we were able to give it. I was able to throttle it up like a couple feet off the ground. I was like, oh my God, that could have been real bad. So yeah, a lot better to learn with, you know, platforms, you know, like Develop Air Mini, soon to be a Develop Air Micro that we're working on, but even these larger Develop Air models are a lot more forgiving than, you know, those agriculture drones. But
That's the way to learn, yeah.
it really is. But without me running on too much, I would like to just go through names again. I think most of you were here. Were you here the last time I was here? I think you may be the only new person. But if we can go back through names again, then we'll go out to the parking lot. We'll get all you guys some hands-on flight time with the Develop Air Mini, assuming no one crashes it before we get to the last person. Knock on wood. And then we'll come back here, finishing up a configuration of this larger Develop Air HP. This is the largest in our lineup currently. And if we have enough time, we'll go back out and fly it as well. So yeah, we'll start at the end and then work our way back. If you can give us your name.
I'm Libby.
Livy? Josh? Jordan? Tyler? Abby? And James. All right. James, Abby, Jordan, Tyler, Josh, Jordan, and Livy. All right. We'll try. No promises. I'll just button this mini back up. Tesla panel gap quality right here, people. And this is pretty straightforward. The Velcro straps are a little bit longer than they need to be. These were actually pulled from a larger Develop Air model, but just an oversized t-shirt equivalent, I guess. All right, James, if you don't mind, grab that Develop Air Mini, and then we're going to leave this battery on the charger. That one's fully charged. We should still be able to get everyone at least a few minutes of flight time with that one battery, but if we don't get to everyone, we can come back and grab that other one on the charger. All right, need props. Those would be helpful. We're going to bring out my phone to use the software that I have or had pulled up on my computer here, Q Ground Control. I'll explain that a little bit more when we're out there. But we could also use this Windows computer as well. We may not actually use it, but I'll bring it out. All right, come on, vamonos. Everybody, let's go. Yep, look at that. And then they just twist on. So there's an icon for lock and unlock, and there we go. And then once it stops, you can just give it a little bit more, and then should be good to go. All right, and then I'm just gonna rotate it just to make it easier for whoever is up flying it first. And actually I could see a little bit of a cable sticking out there. I'm just going to push that in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he fly first. He's been here the longest.
All right. And so before we turn on the Develop Air Mini, we're going to turn on the controller. Just hold down that power button for a few seconds, and then it should, more than a few seconds. Let's see.
Okay.
All right. And then, you know, because it totally makes sense, press down on that button as like the proceed button, right? Like a scrolling wheel. All right.
Telemetry ready. Stabilize flight mode.
So we are somehow in stabilized flight mode, yet, oh, you know what's happening? It's actually connected to that Develop Air HP that's inside. Let me go unplug that really quick.
I can unplug it.
Let me just double check. I could do, yeah. Did the controller say anything? Okay.
Is the battery cable plugged in?
No, so that's why I was confused. I was like, how is it in stabilized flight mode when it's not even connected? All right, and so I'll just plug in the battery. It only goes in one way, fairly straightforward. Give it a few seconds. And so now we're in altitude hold flight mode according to the controller. We are already on the telemetry screen. And as you can see, like, that's not a lot of good information, especially if you're not familiar with like operating these sort of drones. So I am actually opening up this app called Q Ground Control on my phone. And it may auto connect, but since I already had it open, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Let me see if I close it and reopen it, if it'll auto connect as it should. If not, I'll show how to do the manual connection. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so it's automatically connecting. And so my phone is not connecting to the drone itself. This red module on the back of this controller actually has Bluetooth built into it. So the drone is talking via the radio inside of it to this radio module in the back of the controller. And then that radio module is sharing the information with the controller itself to actually provide the inputs, as well as via Bluetooth sharing that info with my phone. So I can actually, at any point, James or anyone else is flying it, I can take over with my phone and like upload automated missions to it and get all that same information you're getting here, just in a more visual format, right? With like the map, and then you'll see how many satellites you're connected to, what your battery status is, etc. So right now we are not getting a GPS lock for a vehicle. So let's give it a moment and see if it'll establish a lock here. It was actually not a problem here in the first class. It locked on pretty quickly, but we might have to give it a few minutes.
Got it.
All right, so now we're connected to 4 satellites, and then underneath that 4, which I think the 4, I forget exactly where, shows up. Let's see, yeah, so we're connected to 4 satellites, and then that HD is 3.1, or on my screen it's actually 3.2. That's horizontal drift, so that means Develop Air, if we were to force override like this message that says AHRS waiting for home, essentially Develop Air would deviate from its position it's supposed to hold up to 3.1 meters. So you basically need to wait for this to get down to under 1 or about 1.2. So we are now connected to 5 satellites, 6 satellites with a horizontal drift score of 2, 2.1. So this is still actually longer than what it typically takes, but that's, I guess, sometimes how it goes. All right, 7 satellites, and which is crazy. We were connected to like 25 satellites during the first class. So, all right, we're at 8 and 1.6. While we're waiting for this to continue connecting to satellites, so if you guys have flown a DJI drone, this is going to be fairly similar as far as the layout goes. These sticks do not or at least this left stick does not center as cleanly as like the DJI controllers will like automatically spring back to center. So if you get confused with flying Develop Air or Develop Air Mini and just want it to hover in place, you may notice it's coming down a little bit when you let go of the sticks. You might just have to manually just push up that stick, or you might see it climbing a little bit when you don't want it to climb. Just bring it back down a little bit. But otherwise, this is throttle up, throttle down, and then you can also rotate with this left stick. So actually in one spot, rotate it. And then all of your forward, back, left, and right movements are with this right stick. So forward, back, left, right. And keep in mind, this antenna is the rear of Develop Air Mini. You can also tell, it's kind of hard to see here, but these lights right now are green. Those are the battery status lights. Those are also visible from the rear. Again, a lot easier to see at night though. All these other switches you don't really have to worry about. We do have different flight modes set up with these buttons right here. So if I press 2, hold on. Press 1, that puts it in altitude hold flight mode. And then I press 2, puts it into loiter flight mode. And I can do that same thing here from the software, put it into altitude hold flight mode. Now we're ready to take off because altitude hold flight mode does not rely on GPS. So basically, if you want to fly indoors or in an environment where you don't have a good GPS connection, Develop Air Mini will still maintain its altitude to the best of its ability without a GPS. You're just going to be more subject to drifting in the wind if you're flying outside, or if you're flying inside and you're going in one direction, then you need to provide a little bit of input the opposite direction to keep it from just continuing to drift in that direction, right? So we're getting closer to be able to fly in loiter flight mode. Again, still taking quite a bit of time. We're connected to 9 satellites. Probably just need 1 to 3 more. Typically, I like to get about 12 satellites to connect. I wonder how much that welding truck is affecting this, because that was not running previously, but I'd like to imagine that how far away it is when it have that big of an effect on.
10. 1.4.
We're getting there. And you too, in dozens of minutes, can be taking off with a Develop Air Mini of your own. Build it or buy it at iVueRobotics.com.
Move down there if you think it'd be better signal.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give it a shot. GPS glitch or compass error.
Oh.
Uh,
Remember that grass one there?
Yeah.
And trees nearby. I don't know whose car this is, but
If we hit it, it wasn't us, right? Something like that.
I'll run
Oh,
inside
yeah.
real quick.
We got the sun.
How many you got now?
Still at 10, but yeah, let's see. The glitch was cleared now that we've put it down.
Nine.
10. You know what? This might take a little bit longer, but let's try. I'm going to reboot it and see if reboot helps establish the connection any quicker. And that's just the way, like, I would like to have a definitive answer for like exactly why it's taking so long, but I really don't know. Again, now we're already connected to 11 satellites, so you know, we're getting there. Two seamless demos in one day. Too much to ask for.
Might be them sunspots.
Trying to reboot it once more. All right, so we have 12 satellites. Each reset, we get one more.
You said we need 15?
It really should be about 12. So there, I don't know, could even be something. I don't know if you guys saw in the news recently, there's a bunch of like coronal ejections, like that is notorious for causing satellite interference. Basically just sun storms. All right, there we are. Look at that. Okay, I just lost it. We're like right on the verge of being ready to fly. So on my screen here, it will say not ready when it does not have the proper GPS connection, or right now it says ready to fly in loiter flight mode. Let's just give it another like 30 seconds and there it says not ready, just went back to ready. So it's like right on the cusp of having the satellite connection or GPS connection it needs. So if this doesn't get to a better level here in like another minute or two, I will go ahead and take off in altitude hold flight mode and show you guys like what that looks like flying without a GPS. But I'd really prefer that everyone here flies with GPS if at all possible. All right. Oh, man, so 12. Come on, give me 13. Don't go the other way. It keeps on going back between 11 and 12 satellites. All right, we got 13. All right. No, James, all you. Yeah, so let me review this with everyone here. So to arm the Develop Air Mini, you bring the left stick down all the way down and to the right and hold it down until it says motors armed. And then you'll bring it back to the center and then just gently up, straight up, right? And then once you're landing back down on the ground, if you're doing it manually, it's just the opposite direction, and it's just this one stick. So again, arm,
Motors armed.
and then the other way.
Motors disarmed.
Okay.
All right, well, yeah, arm up the motors and take her off. And keep in mind, it's facing this way.
Motors armed.
And then, yep, just straight up on that left stick. All right, and 14 satellites. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It only took way too many minutes to get there. So now the great part that I was mentioning with this software, at any point I can just go ahead and take it over. So I just set a takeoff point on the map. The map doesn't actually correspond with the real world location. This parking lot does not exist in this map. But right now I can hit upload. The controller just said flight plan received, and now I just started an automated mission. And now James, even though he has the controller, flying completely hands-free, and Developer Mini, it already got to its second waypoint. I just did a very simple mission, but now I could even tell it to land. So I just put it in land flight mode, and it would completely come down, land by itself, disarm by itself. But now if we wanted, press 2. I'll actually press Loiter here. So now you have full control again. And now we could have pressed 1 to put it into altitude hold mode, but then it could have started drifting with the wind. So that's why I just changed the mode over here on my phone. And if you guys are familiar with like geofences and all of that, you could set a geofence so like you can make it so it won't fly outside of this parking lot area. For whatever it's worth to you guys, we are up to 22 satellites, so something in this parking lot seemed to cause some sort of interference, it seems like. All right, who's up next?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm here as you have any questions. Well, I want to see a dolphin dive, you know, if it...
It go all the way to 400?
It could go beyond that, you know, but
I mean,
yeah. Legally speaking,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
How
400.
fast?
I think these Developer Mini top out just shy of 40 miles per hour.
Oh, we got a little speed on it.
Yeah. That Developer HP is like just shy of like 60 miles per hour. Now, once you add like a cargo payload, you're typically not going to be flying faster than like 30 miles per hour. Yeah.
Give us some speed. Now, there's not a situation where, well, never mind.
It was like moving your dream. It was a white stuff product.
Does anyone want to try creating an automated mission? So you could see about 5 minutes ago, but if we hit that plan button, hit file, and then scroll down, you'll actually have to like underneath those 4 icons, and then
fly over the cars, we can help it.
and then hit clear, and then hit yes. So I had a flight plan already saved on there, and so this just makes sure we're not going to upload an older flight plan when we create a new one. So now we need to set the takeoff location. Even though it's already taken off, that's basically just going to set the home position now. And now we can go ahead and set the waypoint, and then select anywhere on the map that you want it to fly to. And then now that drops the waypoint, it's going to fly to an altitude of 100 feet. And so it'll actually, wherever it's at right now, let's say we're at like 80 feet off the ground, it will go from 80 to 100 feet on the way there. So if you want to make sure that it climbs up and then flies over, you either need to like drag that waypoint over to where you're at, or there's some other more kind of advanced ways of doing it, but that's typically the way that I find the most kind of convenient or straightforward. And then, yep.
Is the map just old satellite imagery?
It is, and so that's part of like our software platform that we're building, taking all of the data that our drones can collect, and even just photos and videos that people capture, upload to the world map, make it a lot better even for, you know, drone flight planning down the road. So now, yeah, if we wanted to fly that mission, go ahead and hit upload.
So could you theoretically make a 3D map using photograms?
That's yes, yep. So our goal, I guess kind of best stated, is creating the most interactive, up-to-date virtual representation of the world. And then, so now if you want to start that mission, we're going to take over whoever is flying, and then, yeah, going to take over, we took over. So yeah, it's flying up to 100 feet. We can actually see what altitude it's climbing up to, just reached 100 feet. And then we could see the speed that it's flying upwards, the horizontal speed. So right now it's flying at about 15 miles per hour. And it's about 1,000 feet away from us, 1,100 feet away from us.
Here we go. This should be interesting. Oh.
Look, well, I could do it with no hands.
Wow. I was going to say, can we go up to 400? Glad we didn't.
That's still
He's
probably,
way
yeah,
up there, bro.
a few thousand. All right, so now that it's created the auto mission, done with the auto mission, so now we can put it back into loiter flight mode. And Abby, is that right? Yes. Now you should actually, hold on. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. So now we're in loiter flight mode. I just changed it here, basically the same way.
Yeah, loiter. I see it.
And so, altitude hold flight mode. Now you guys see how Developer Mini is drifting. So it's not using GPS. So basically, it's just at the whim of the wind. So yeah, press 2. And now it just stopped. So now it's using GPS to hold its position. So now, yeah, now it's completely yours. We still have plenty of battery life, at least another 10 minutes. So, won't this be so great to have 4 of these? You know.
It'd be great. Yeah, that's great. Try not to fly over the cars.
I'm trying to bring it.
You're not over the cars.
Now, do you want to manually land it?
Going down,
And then,
It's okay.
yeah, and then just
Yeah.
disarm.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Motors disarmed.
All right, and then so I'm gonna arm it, and I'll show you a way, because yeah, if you're not coming down like very like intentionally slowly, as you can tell,
Yeah.
it can come down quite quickly. Even then, you can see how resilient it is on a hard surface, landing as hard as it did. So we could set up any of these buttons to land flight mode, or we could select land flight mode just like we did the other flight modes, or there's even a land icon directly here on the left-hand side. And just kind of like the old iPhone, swipe to unlock, swipe to confirm, and it'll come down nice and slowly. And it'll also cut off the motors by itself and disarm. Did everyone get a chance to fly that at least wanted to fly? All right. Well, instead of, yeah.
I want to see what the difference
Altitude
is.
hold flight mode. Loiter flight mode.
Try to land it over here in the grass if you can get. We'll do a spot landing practice. It is currently facing this way. Yep.
There you go. Whoop, wrong way. Whoa. Bring that on up.
All right, now it's facing us. Yep.
Oh, the wind is catching it. Okay, come on.
All right, a little bit of back. A little bit back towards you. Oh, no. So it's facing this way.
Oh. Oh no.
Battery level 1
Oh
alert.
no.
It landed?
It did not. That is not a good landing. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Nope.
Motors disarmed.
Oh no.
So not capable of taking every hard landing, but
Oh no.
just, you know, giving your good old friend Jacob some more rebuilding to do tomorrow before we go take this up to South Carolina. No big deal.
Well, you know. my
So the
bad.
question, can you do the landing? Not this
No,
time.
No, not this time. No.
No, but
Oh man. Yeah. Oh.
Well, at least the battery's not burning.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good sign.
I mean, you know, I didn't hit the car.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's it, you know. Ooh. Okay. Well. I mean.
Do we get all the parts?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not good.
Huh? We've had worse. We've had better, but we've had worse. Yeah, we definitely, and by we, I definitely did not hit a City of Chicago cop car doing a demo for them. So,
Yeah, we still got class.
yeah.
We got to go in there and do the programming.
No more questions for me. I want to see. Is this going to be on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I didn't mean.
Actually, we are missing AP, so it looks like we're missing the GPS itself.
Oh, we gotta go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would be a red cap.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's just the cap. The GPS is actually here, so. The GPS itself, but like the red dome part, yeah, like this red dome part came off. We don't necessarily need it just to not, you know, litter.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I got some rebuilding ahead of me today.
I mean,
Well, a little today and then tomorrow. And all right. May even if we do get to flying this one, don't know if I will, because
I'm okay.
yeah. Let me go ahead and try to pick up where we left off here with this configuration. All right, so I think where we left off in the last class, we need to set up this radio to talk to a radio that will plug into our computer. So while we saw that radio can connect to the one built into the back of this controller in that module, we also like to give people the ability to fly with no controller whatsoever, or if you want, you can use like a game controller hooked up to your computer or even your phone and fly that way as well. But in order to do so, at least with these radios, there's some configuration that you have to do. It's just one-time configuration, but we are going to go ahead and set that up. So technically speaking, for this first part, we don't even need to have this radio connected, but for a second part, we will. Let's see, Google Chrome. So here I have a document that's also available through the iVue Robotics website. And this is all the parameters that we set up our develop air drones with. This is actually for the base model, but a lot of them do carry over to this develop air HP model. And the ones specifically for the radio, they're labeled here by MLRS specific. Anyone that's done work with like FPV, like racing drones, they would have heard of ELRS, and that's basically just a radio protocol for like sending what's called RC information, like the input from your controller, specifically to like control the drone, and then like control any attachments to it, like with those dials or switches and buttons. And so like some of this information that's reported back is like how many satellites you're connected to, again, the information for what you have connected to your drone and to be able to control it, what other sensors that you have connected, like for collision avoidance, which we don't have any built into develop air by default. So here in Q ground control, if you go up to this top left-hand side of the screen, hit the Q and then hit vehicle configuration, select parameters, then you can either search from this search bar or just scrolling down the list, find the parameters that you're looking to set. In our case, we're starting with SR1 EXT stat and then working our way down. So we could just type in SR1, and that's just going to show all of these SR1 parameters without having to type out each one in its entirety, doing it one by one. So SR1 extra stat needs to be set to 2. And we're literally just entering 2. And then here it says reboot vehicle for changes to take effect. It's not a bad habit to do that after each time you're prompted. But actually in this version of Q ground control on a Mac computer, it's very buggy and it will crash every time you reboot your drone. So just minimizing the amount of times I have to reopen the software, I'm going to go through all of these and then reboot once to make all these parameters take effect. Yeah, if it crashes into the tire of a car out in the parking lot behind Southern Crescent, SR1 extra 1, we're setting to 4. SR1 extra 2, also setting to 4. SR1 extra 3, setting to 2 hertz. SR1 parameters, 50 hertz. That's basically just the frequency all this information is being shared with your controller. SR1 params, 50 hertz. SR1 position is 2 hertz. SR1 RC channel is 1 hertz. 1 hertz is better than love hertz. Serial 1 options, I think we already set that last class. Let me just double check, and I'll explain what this is. So I don't know, you guys all probably heard of like USB connectors for computers, right? Those are a type of serial port. And similarly on like these flight controllers, these Telem 1 port, Telem 2, Telem 3 ports, those are all also serial ports. And serial ports are basically just a type of port that can standardize the flow of information. And in the case of these develop air, there's, I don't know, like 8 serial ports, something like that. Let's see, 7 serial ports. So there's an actual USB port. So on the side of the flight controller, there's a USB-C connector, and that's already occupied with an extension cable that we have routed out to the back of the fuselage here. So instead of having to open up the top cover every time you want to connect to it via USB-C, we just have that extension cable running to the exterior. And so that's serial 0. And then serial 1 is UART 7 or the telemetry 1 port. Again, it's labeled on the flight controller as telemetry 1. Serial 2 is the telemetry 2 port. And then this is where it gets relevant to us. So on the Develop Air Mini, we have the GPS plugged into the GPS 2 port, and that's because it uses a 6-pin connector. So the GPS 1 port, on the other hand, uses a 10-pin connector. So unless you're making your own custom cable, own custom connector, you just want to use GPS 2 port. So here we actually had both this GPS plugged in, which is also using a GPS 2 port, as well as the GPS that we use for the Develop Air Mini, where the standard GPS units that we use for these Develop Air models do have a 10-pin connection and use the GPS 1 port. And so we then need to find, well, GPS 1 port is serial 3 versus the GPS 2 is serial 4. We basically needed to go into Q ground control, and then serial 3 we needed to set to GPS, and then serial 4 we needed to set to none, because when we had like the Develop Air Mini GPS, and we had serial 4 protocol set to GPS because it was using that serial port, right? Does that make sense? I know that's somewhat fairly technical, but yeah, there's a lot of configuration to build drones like these on the front end, but then once you get it figured out, you can like just copy and paste it, you know, from one to the next. Let's see. The serial port we reset for the radio. I think we should be good there. Now, unfortunately, Q ground control, as capable as it is, it's really only designed to like configure and fly the drones themselves, where there's another program called Mission Planner. I'm going to close out a Q ground control. Mission Planner is similar, that allows you to do configuration setup and flying, but it's actually even more technically complex. And as you'll see here, it looks like software developed like in the 80s or maybe even earlier. But we're going to connect not necessarily to Develop Air, we're actually connecting to this radio itself. So typically we use this radio as a means to communicate with Develop Air and adjust the parameters. So you can either adjust the parameters and the setup of this Develop Air via this USB connection or via wireless radio connection. But in our case, we actually want to just adjust the parameters of this radio itself. So to do that, we have this whole drop down of options here. And to minimize that, I'm going to unplug the Develop Air, so we no longer have that one listed as an option. because it doesn't just say, hey, this is develop air versus this is radio. You have to, kind of understand. Like this says dev, TTY USB modem, and you just know like this is a radio, it's also a modem. This is what we're connecting to. So we hit connect, and actually this kind of defeats what I was going to show. So you can use a controller with this software or that other Q ground control software. Here we go. Maybe. It's getting params. Shouldn't take this long. All right, I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to plug in the battery because basically what I'm trying to show is these radios will show up as really two options. So here, yep, I'm going to disconnect and connect again. So now we're getting Mavlink connecting, and it's getting parameters. It's actually like working in the way that it should. You can see that the connection is established. The radio is blinking green. It's covered up in heat shrink in here, but you can also see that it's blinking green. And now if we move develop air forward, or this develop air HP, tilt it forward, you can see it responding here. But you can also, by selecting this drop down up in the top right where it says quad rotor, it also says T radio. So we selected telemetry radio, and now if we tilt forward, nothing's happening, right? Because now we're not actually talking to the drone through this software, we're talking to this radio itself via the software. And so now that we're connected to the radio itself, we're going to the config screen, full parameters list, and then we need to refresh parameters. And so we have a lot fewer options, or a lot less options than what we did if we were configuring a drone. But all we need to do is set this TX channel source to 0 and TX send radio stat to 1. And that should allow us to use develop air with one of these USB radios without needing to have a controller connected. Or at least that's one of the pieces of configuration that's needed to allow that to happen. So I'm going to scroll down here. And I need to double check the parameter names. TX channel source to 0. So currently it's set to 1. And just double tap that box, hit 0. And then TX send radio stat to 1, and I think that is the last one in the list. And is that already set to 1? It is. And in Q ground control, when you set a parameter, it will automatically write the parameter to the drone, or in this case, the radio. In Mission Planner, you actually have to hit the right parameters button for the parameter save or change to take effect. So that's all the configuration or setup required to get these radios working properly. But now there's still a few other fail-safe options that we need to set up. So you can do that in Mission Planner. I just like the user interface of Q ground control better. So I'm going to quit out of Mission Planner, and we're going to open up Q ground control again. All right, so going back to the parameters tab, I'm going to scroll up to the top of our list, and I'm going to skip some of these and just briefly touch on some of them, since a lot of these are already set up, or some that we aren't needing to be set up, because this is actually a slightly different model than the base model. But the first one that you would set up is the frame class and type. So this is a quad X, right? It's a quadcopter in an X form factor. And so you can actually just from this sidebar where it says frame, select it there, or through the parameters list, you could type in frame underscore, and then you get those same two parameters and you can manually set them. Just it's basically like the equivalent of scripting versus like a UI and, you know, just selecting options. And then we have a safety switch. I think I already have that disabled, but let me just double check that. Yep, so board safety default is set to disabled. And so sometimes the parameter is actually written out in words. Other times it's displayed as a number. And so in our documentation, I try to give both ways that it's shown, in both number and written form. The ESC, we're not setting up because I think we covered it before going out to fly. The motors weren't spinning up when we were trying to spin them up individually, even with the battery plugged in, because with how this is set up, these ESCs require a minimum of like 17% throttle to spin up the motors. But these same motors, if they were powered via this ESC and then given the data via this wire, you can actually spin up these motors at 3% throttle, which probably not going to have too much, if any, of effect on you know, flight, but it just does give you more like granular control over the motors. And it's not the form factor that allows that. It's actually using this wire being plugged into a telemetry port in the flight controller, where instead of just like basically sending raw like motor speed data, this like packages up in like a better format essentially. This is like a proprietary protocol versus, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of PWM. It's just any like sort of like servo motors that if you want to like tilt down a spotlight or open up a little drawer like for a dispenser mechanism or whatever, those are all use servo motors that are controlled via PWM signal.
So that gets rid of all four of those?
Yeah, one board, yeah. And yeah, this same board is actually in the Develop Air Mini. It's just underneath, yeah.
What's more efficient?
This is definitely more efficient, but we've had some problems. Like these are German-based components, and seemingly some of them that we get are just like not working, you know, when we get them. But it might even be some cases like a few weeks to even a couple of months before we actually like get it built out in a drone. And it's like, did we do something to like maybe mess up that component, or did it come that way, right? And it's hard to say sometimes.
Get a refund.
Yeah, it's like good luck, right? Yeah.
Do you use any Chinese part?
Yeah, too many. Most of these are Chinese components. Just the reality is, you know, our country has been asleep behind the wheel for decades on end, and people not wanting to build the products that we rely on in this country. So yeah, like the radios, Chinese, ESCs, Chinese, flight controller, Chinese, GPS, Chinese. Really? This one board that handles our lighting system, we designed but manufactured. We have produced in China. Yeah, it's just the reality that like all of the components for pretty much any drone are, you know, made in. These motors are an American company but made in China. And yeah, so these motors, to give you guys like a sense of like how bad it is, or yeah, these motors are $95 a piece, and that's still fairly good. Again, American company, made in China. These motors, given not as good as those, these land in our office for $5.50 a piece because it's a Chinese company, right? We are talking with a motor company based out of like the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and they make brushless motors for military contracts. And they we sent them some samples, and they were saying like even to make these like $5.50 motors, one, they couldn't make them at any sort of like real meaningful scale, but even if they could, they would be like in the low hundreds of dollars per motor or many dozens of dollars for a motor. And it's like until we can start making like our own motors, you know, China's going to continue running away with the drone market. And of course, you know, short of like bans, but then the drone market in entirety is just going to slow down. So there's really no right answer other than hopefully you guys are inspired enough to also, you know, build drone companies or join us in building one. So we can skip all of that servo setup, and now we're at the battery, RC, and ground control fail-safe setup. So this first one, battery fail-safe critical action. So once the battery gets down to a critical level, what do you want the developer, in our case, to do? BRD, it's BAT, and then FS, fail-safe, and then CRT is critical. So battery FS critical action, you have a drop down of options here, and we're just going to tell it to land. So if the battery, I think it's like 15% or whatever, if it gets down to 15%, wherever it is, if it's above a car or whatever, it's going to come down slower than you had it come down for a landing. But sorry, not sorry. I can be a little abrasive.
I ruined your product. It's torture testing.
Yeah, the crappy product can't even take a landing with the
Just a little tired.
yeah. And then the battery FS low action. So we have that set to smart RTL or RTL. Does anyone have any guesses what the difference between smart RTL and RTL is, or even what RTL is? Return to launch, but yeah, return to home. Yeah. All right, and then smart RTL. Does anyone want to guess how that? What's that? So both are automatic. So the difference is RTL will basically just climb up to whatever altitude was set for RTL. So that can be a blessing and a curse. You want to have the altitude for the return to launch set high enough to where if you're flying on the other side of trees, you don't want it coming back at like 50 feet and like coming straight through those trees, right? But we've also had a customer where they had the RTL altitude set to like 200 feet and they're flying in a netted facility. So it actually like flew up into the top of the net, you know, before it came home. And so that's something to keep in mind. And the smart RTL will basically just retrace a path that it's already flown to get back to the home location. Is it that time already? Okay.
What are you going to do to fix this one?
So, I am going to take all the electronics out and put it in a new body, and then throw away that prop.
This prop.
Yeah, that prop, probably that prop. We'll probably keep this prop. And then we'll take a heat gun and then take off. Actually, we can keep on the end. We'll just need to take pliers and take off that inner piece. And so it's really just going to be, knock on wood, a fuselage swap.
Okay. I mean.
And that's the thing, you know, like it's, as much as I do like talking shit and like to think I'm fairly good at it, it's not, it's like motorcycles. It's not if you crash, it's when you crash. And it's like, how can we make it so it's as affordable and as, you know, quick as possible to get back up and flying? And so this will take me like dragging my ass to do it probably a couple hours. So if like I was just like, all right, let me sit down and do it as quickly as I can, you know, maybe half an hour.
Oh, okay. Anything I can help do? I feel really, really bad.
Yeah, our office, our office address is 925 Sanders Road, Suite C, Cumming, Georgia. I'll see you there. No, I'm kidding.
That far away. Cumming?
Yeah, where are you at?
Atlanta.
Okay, so yeah. No, honestly, and again, this kidding aside, but if you do ever want to like come even just check out our workshop, and like that's open to everyone. And then there's a local drone park up there. Like, be more than happy to work with you. Again, goes everyone that.
Yeah.
I love evangelizing drones, and the more people I can get in to help us create this future, like. Yeah. And, you know, I talk with people in the drone industry about that, and they're like, I've never thought about it that way. It's like, to me, that's so obvious, you know. It's like, you know, why wouldn't you want your own personal assistant drone, right?
So, yeah, and go do the little small tasks that you don't want to do.
Well, and then again, this is even on the small side, right? Like, I could send this and, like, go pick up a 6-pack of eggs or whatever from the local grocery store or, like, a neighbor or whatever, right? But it's only a matter of time before, like, you have a drone like this that can go pick up a day or two groceries at a time versus one that can carry 30 to 50 pounds, and you can send your drone to go pick up a week full groceries, you know. And that's like already possible, right? It's just like getting it to the point that it's easy enough for the everyday person to operate, don't have to use a controller, and then of course building them at a scale, getting the perception there. I mean,
They already got, like, downtown, we got those little robots with the wheels.
Yeah.
You ride around and you put stuff in them. So, I mean,
we're
makes sense.
in the next 10, 15 years, we're gonna have more drones and robots out in public than we will people.
I can see that. I can definitely see. Like, I go to Piedmont Park and the little robots out there running and playing with people and interacting and
Yeah, well, I think we already started to see like what this is going to look like for the people that aren't like aware, like how prevalent drones already are, even just as flying cameras. There's like 2 million of them here in the United States already, about 1 million registered drone operators between like commercial and recreational. And it's like the whole New Jersey, you know, drone sightings that we saw roughly this. It's like, I think there's just like, there's a few people maybe flying their DJI drones, and then people like, oh my God, like look at all these drones. And then that just prompted everyone else to go outside flying their even like just DJI drones, and created almost like a Salem witch trial sort of hysteria. And yeah, and it's like, oh my God, like what are all these drones? It's like, lo and behold, you can go, if you have $1,000, buy a drone and just go fly it, you know. It's like, and it's just more and more people are starting to do that. So you're going to see more and more drones, and you're not going to know what they're doing and, you know, like who's operating it. Yeah, it's just part of life that we're coming to live in.
And the FAA's in a panic mode.
Yeah.
I've been looking at I got into e-bikes.
Yeah.
And so now at Venton, they have a drone that you can put on the back of your bike, and it'll shoot up, and while you're riding, it'll just follow you around and just film you, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be everywhere. Now I feel really bad.
You can't really see it. That's my e-bike in the back of a
Oh, yeah,
Uber.
see?
It folds up and it's
It's like that's the best thing ever. You just
yeah,
I
just the
love
front
mine.
handlebars. We went up to Washington, D.C.,
how was that one?
and it was great. We did the Mount Vernon Trail. Let's see. So we rode from George Washington's old estate up to the White House on our e-bikes. And so my podcast co-host actually paid to rent a couple e-bikes for him and Brian. And then I was able to bring mine up since it folded up. And
Just take up.
yeah,
It's like the best thing.
it's so freeing.
Now,
Yeah.
my battery did go like dead on me, and I had to like.
Manually pedal. I was just telling Robin about that.
It's so heavy.
We were 31 miles into our 36-mile trip, like our ride, and then my battery gave out, and it's like the hills of Virginia, and I was like, oh my God. I had my backpack loaded up with equipment as well, and like the only way I could get up some of those hills was like having to stand up and then it got even to the point like the last like mile and a half, Brian still had the juice in his. I was like, Brian, you're gonna have to take my backpack, or you're gonna have to like just keep going, because we were trying to get back to the e-bike shop where they rented them before 3:30, and we got there at 3:29.
Right there.
Yeah,
When that battery goes out, it's like, oh, this is.
it's the as I was telling Robin, the definition of an asset turning into a liability.
Quick. I was lucky. I was only like a half a mile from the house, but I was like.
Half a mile adds up. Yeah.
It was all uphill. I was just trying to rock it back and forth to see if I could give me some momentum. And I got the big mountain tire, the off-road mountain tires on it. And I was like, oh, this is not it. Okay, well, I mean, I do feel bad, but I'm definitely come to your shop and come and, you know.
There's a better look. I actually brought it out to the drone park yesterday, so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got the fast one. That's the one, that goes about what, 40?
No, they're like 25, 28.
25?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. But, I mean, it's boys and their toys, right? Yeah.
Have you gotten to hacking it yet? Where the people are like cutting the governor off and making it be able to get up to like 50,
So,
60?
I did that with like a little Razor e-bike, like the one for kids, and like it only has a throttle, and that was like meant to go like 12 to 14 miles per hour, and now that one will go like 25 miles per hour. But I really haven't ridden that one since I got this one, and
I got an
and
Actress.
it was my mom's.
It's not like a, the super nice one.
This one's Chinese, and
Yeah, I'm not Chinese, and we got it on a deal. My lady in that, she was like, "We need some e-bikes to ride around," and it's like, okay. But I mean, I love the thing.
it is great.
Now, when you go down the rabbit hole, it's like, oh, you can hack it, you can take the governor torque off, and like the one guy was like, oh, what size motor do you have? Because if you got a 1,000 or 1,500 watt, you can really do some crazy stuff with it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I got a 1,500 watt. I just didn't
Yeah.
an accident. Like, you can't ride that on certain trails because it'll go too fast. I was like, mine doesn't go that fast.
Yeah, and like who's gonna like the e-bike police are gonna? Yeah.
Now, one thing I did have to learn is I was thinking it was like a regular bike, so I went and got me some WD-40 and I sprayed down the chain and I sprayed the brakes.
Yeah.
Worst decision ever. So I'm riding. And it went to clap and it wasn't getting any kind of prep. And I put my feet down and I'm just sliding. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this back home real quick. I had to wipe everything down. Oh man.
Brian had an incident when we were on the trip going around, and like it was like raining when we started earlier in the day, and so like wet leaves on the path, some of the path is flooded, coming around a bend and like just covered in wet leaves, and next thing we know, we hear like
Because they're not good at like, well, at least mine is.
No, yeah, they're not,
like
yeah.
Taking turns, it's kind of like
Yeah.
you gotta slow down.
yeah.
Slightly turn, start turning, and then get into the turn and go. It's like, I have fun on it. I can't do the belt line. Like I was trying to ride the belt line. It's so many people.
Yeah.
And so it's just stop and
Go,
go, stop and go, stop and go, and then you get the people. Like, I'd be
And
sitting
they'll like take up the
Yeah.
whole path, and it's yeah.
and I sit there and beep, beep. I like my little horn though. I love it.
We had such a great time with that. Yeah. Beep, beep, beep.
Like, oh man, I'm gonna come see your shop in Cummins because I definitely. I'm sorry about this.
No.
I really.
No,
I gotta find the topper. I looked underneath the car, so I don't know whether it fell out before or what.
yeah,
It could
it's
be anywhere in the parking lot. I didn't look the whole parking lot, but.
I thought I was better than I was.
hey, story of my life.
Oh man. Okay. Well. Okay. Pastor Mama Steve. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Kids looking like,
It was spectacular. I wish I'd have filmed it though.
Brian, did we get that on camera? Nice. So yes, it will be on YouTube.
It will be on YouTube.